On May 3, 1859, aboard the SS Glasgow, was Daniel Penman, a 24-year-old Scottish brick mason. Arriving in New York, Penman was alone.
It was extremely poor in Scotland at that time. They took them from the city and they would send them out. Basically, they put them in apprenticeships.
At age 24, Penman completed his apprenticeship. He knew he wanted to marry a woman, Mary McKechnie from Scotland, but she needed to take care of her family. He decided to move to the land of opportunity in hopes of making enough to send back for her. He was able to find success along the American River, staking multiple claims. 5 years passed, and he sent word back to the faithful Mary McKechnie, who arrived in New York, July 1864. She informed Daniel Penman, who had moved to the California state capital, that she would join him in Sacramento via steamboat. To avoid the Cape, she would cross by land in Panama, taking the recently constructed Panama Railroad. The 47-mile-long railway was built by U.S. contractors after an 1846 treaty with New Granada, and was finished in a remarkable 5 years. In its production, thousands of men from around the world lost their lives to yellow fever, dysentery, and other diseases. On the other side, the Northern Light was waiting for Mary McKechnie. The Pacific posed many dangers of its own. Nevertheless, Mary arrived in San Francisco, and the two were married August 19, 1864. Far from home, Mary brought a token of home with her, a cross inlaid with stones from Scotland. On November 11, 1865, they had their first and only daughter, Mary Penman.
And they stayed in Northern California almost 20 years, not quite, just about 20 years. And that's when he worked on the Capitol.
The Capitol, which was the largest construction project in the American West at the time, was a cursed project. Major flooding in 1862, continual labor shortages, and strikes delayed the project. Yet arguably the biggest delay was rooted in an issue back east. On April 12, 1861, shots were fired upon Fort Sumter.
All the pent-up hatred of the past months and years is voiced in the thunder of these cannon, and the people seem almost beside themselves in the exaltation of a freedom they deem already won.
What ensued was the bloodiest war in American history. The effects of the war were felt throughout the whole nation, and even after the war, conflict still remained.
Early that evening, Booth led his horse out of the livery stable near Ford's Theater.
Society.
A surgeon from the audience pronounced the wound mortal. Soldiers carried the unconscious president from the theater into a boarding house across 10th Street.
The effects of Lincoln's assassination were felt across the country. Reuben S. Clark was the first lead architect of the California state capitol. 1 month after Lincoln's assassination, the Executive Committee of the Union League of America investigated Clark on grounds of disloyalty. They said that before the 1864 presidential election, Clark said, "I don't care which side wins, but we must vote for the administration if we wish to save our birth. What is the use of losing a 10 years job for the sake of one vote?" They also suspected him of employing outspoken secessionists. Clark was found guilty of disloyalty and died the next year in the insane asylum in Stockton, California. After Clark's death, an article was published by the workmen of the building stating that Clark was a good man and his death will be mourned, and his name will be remembered until granite molders and decays. The first signee of the article was Daniel Penman. In 1874, 14 years after the project began, the Capitol was complete, an amazing feat of neoclassical architecture that stayed true to Clark's original plans. According to family legend, after a workers' strike, Daniel Penman got up on the dome and laid bricks himself in order to finish the job. Following a land boom, Daniel Penman moved to the modern-day Los Angeles area in 1883. He farmed lemon trees, employing immigrants from China. He continued to develop land, even selling some to the legendary Los Angeles developer Griffith J. Griffith. He was able to become one of early Hollywood's biggest figures. His daughter, Mary Penman, graduated from the California State Normal School in 1887 and was one of the first school teachers and the first principal at the Hollywood Pass School. But her school teaching was just a fraction of her civic influence.
Mary Penman had her own land and her own money, which was very unusual for the time. And she was also proven to be a very good businesswoman.
She married Charles G. Moll, who was propertyless but from another successful family, in 1893. The wedding was ornate, including an orchestra, elegant dress, and other delicate features. Mary Moll continued to manage her farmland on Hollywood Avenue, a street which she's credited for petitioning to name. She secured business deals like one with the trolley on Hollywood Boulevard.
The trolley couldn't cut the corner, make a right-hand turn, so she donated this small piece of her property on the corner, and in exchange, they would cart her lemons for free.
Tragically, Charles Moll died of food poisoning at the turn of the century, at age 31.
The understanding to me is Charles's family came in and wanted to take over the business of the land.
But a visit to Hollywood Boulevard today makes it clear. Mary Moll went out. She gained the rights to her property, subdividing it into residential lots. She also demolished some of it to build a commercial building, which still stands today. She bought property and built a craftsman-style house farther west, where the famous Roosevelt Hotel stands today. Evidently, her name was popular enough to be a burglar's alias. As a single mom, Mary Moll continued to contribute to early Hollywood. She owned the Bonnie Briar building, in which she rented flats. Its name potentially pays homage to the traditional Scottish folk song. In 1922, there was a fire at the building, which was handled well by the fire department. In thanks, Mary Moll sent a check and a letter.
As a property holder in Hollywood, I wish to express to you my commendation and praise of the firemen's work in so quietly, effectively, and quickly putting out the fire which occurred in the Bonnie Briar building. May our true citizens make the fire department of Los Angeles one of the best in the city of the West.
Mary Moll was also very involved with the Young Women's Christian Association in Hollywood. In 1925, she and fellow women secured the largest individual financial transaction ever by a body of women in the United States. They wanted to build a hotel for solo female travelers who at the time could not check into hotels without a male chaperone. As chairman of the building committee, Mary Penman laid the cornerstone in 1926. The hotel was finished in August of that year, and it still stands today as an active hotel. Here it is. Daniel Penman passed away in 1930, and his wife, Mary McKechnie, in 1935. Mary Moll then moved to Beverly Hills, and she also invested in land on Bay Island in Newport Beach. She spent the end of her life in San Marino, near her children. Her pioneering efforts in California bear resemblance to her mother's efforts to reunite with Daniel Penman across the Atlantic many years before. Mary Penman Moll passed away in 1952, and her legacy still lives on.